Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another full album react. I snuck the headphones in there. Hope you guys are having a wonderful one. Hope you guys are settling in, settling down, and sitting down. Maybe you're standing up for this full album reaction that we are about to dive into. Today, we will be listening to Immunity by musician Rupert Hine. Sorry about that, which was released in 1981. Let's see, I'm trying to find out which album this is in his discography. It didn't say that on Wikipedia, so let me just pull up his discography. This will be his third studio album after Pick Up the Bone and Unfinished Picture. We are listening to Mr. Rupert Hine with this album because it was suggested and sponsored by Elwise. Elwise, thank you so much for the recommendation. I really, really appreciate the over-the-top support as well. Really, thank you a lot for that. And I see that this album had also been suggested by Philip Chambers, Martin Dunner, Contract Work, and Martin Dunner quite a few times actually, and Philip Chambers. There you are again. So thank you guys so much for the recommendation as well over on YouTube. Okay, so with Rupert Hine, like on one hand, I've never heard of him, right? However, on the other hand, when I click on his Wikipedia article, I see that he's produced a lot of albums for a lot of musicians and artists that we know and we're familiar with, such as Rush, Kevin Ayers, Saga, The Fix, Stevie Nicks, Chris de Burgh, Suzanne Vega. Like, he's worked with a lot of people and with a lot of musicians. So on one hand, haven't heard of him. On the other hand, we've heard him. We've at least heard his touch, you know? So with that in mind, let us go ahead. I think, was he on Reach the Beach? Is that what it? Yeah, which we did cover that album as well, actually. Now looking at it, I'm on here looking at all his credentials and his credits there. So anyways, I'm excited to dive into this one. A lot, like I said, a lot of you had suggested it. Comes quite highly recommended, and so we will go ahead and do so. Now, the album was not available on Spotify, so we will be using YouTube to listen to the album. And as I have the YouTube pulled up here, just so you guys see, here's the album here. They do have, one of the commenters, Salamentary, did put the track list down here as well for us. So we have that to follow. And that's it. Of course, if you'd like, and if you don't mind pressing the like button before we even begin, that helps a great deal. The Buy Me a Coffee is there if you'd like to sponsor a song request or even an album request, just as Elwise did here with this specific album. I appreciate you guys watching. I hope that you guys are ready to dive in. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. I love diving into full albums. I'm going to take a sip of my water. I'm freezing right now, and my jacket's not in my room. That might be something that I do in the middle of this reaction. We'll see, because my hands are going a little numb. But you're not here to talk about my hands. You're here to talk about Mr. Hine. So let's go ahead and begin with the first track on the album, which is I Hang On to My Vertigo. We'll, of course, and naturally discuss it after. Let me go ahead and pull it up here. And as always, this one, my friends, is to you.
A bat on the edge with a bad mind, privately found, the best release I know, some way to let go. I hang on to my vertigo. I hang on to my vertigo. I hang on. A slow death ahead.
Very Newman-esque.
Is a sad slide, perfectly formed to feel the fall like lead. the balcony for my bed. I hang on to my vertigo. I hang on to my vertigo. I hang on. Spinning alone, I look down. I'm on shy on the skyline. Hiding at home, don't you feel low? Wasting your breath and your friend's time. I want to be alone. Me on a high wire. I want to be alone.
I like how the piano accents his voice.
A cat on the ledge with a bad sign, secretly dead. It's good to look down a one-way view, and so
Snap on the end.
I hang on to my vertigo. I hang on to my vertigo. I hang on. Spinning alone, I look down. I'm on shy on the skyline.
I love those extra
Hiding at
harmonies there.
home, don't you feel low? Wasting your breath and your friend's time. I want to be alone. Me on a high wire. I want to be alone. Me on a high wire. I'm over your head.
Oh, okay. So before it gets to the next, let me back it up 5 seconds there. Okay. So with the first track here, this is my first introduction into Mr. Hine. And what am I hearing? What am I expecting? What am I seeing and listening to? This to me is very much in that Newman-esque kind of synth pop direction. Can I tell you there's something deeply sad about the music to me? And even the way that he's singing, I can't follow the lyrics since I have, you guys see what I see. So I have the, video pulled up there. So we'll have to look at the lyrics, but it sounds so sad to me, the way that he's singing. And, we'll dive into the lyrics to see exactly what he's singing about. But I feel like he's carrying a deep sense of isolation, maybe loneliness. The song title, I hang on to my vertigo, is it because he has nothing else to hang on to in that fact? We'll see as we go on there. But I really enjoy the kind of quiet, mourning, wailing guitar that's kind of like wailing in the back in these city streets of the music. Like I've mentioned it with a certain, I can't remember what song or whatever before, but here's what I want to look up a picture of what I imagine listening to this. Okay, when I hear the mood, this is perfect. When I hear the mood of this track, when I hear that guitar crying in the back when I hear these synths just kind of pulsating along. This is, I mean, all of these images kind of work, to be honest, so I'll just give you all of them. I think of like this. I don't know why, but I think of like steam, like rising off of the streets in a city. Like there's something to me beautiful about this. There's something comforting about the nights and in the city, and there's just something about that. And that's what I'm hearing here. There's something urban about it. There's something city-like about it with that pulsating synth, very 80s to it. But with the guitar sound in the back there, it also cries eerie in a certain respect. So let me pull up the musicians here on the album so I can actually tell you who's doing what. So obviously Rupert Hine is the vocalist and handling all the keyboards, some of the extra instrumentation and sound processing. Guitar here is going to be Phil Palmer on here. And can I tell you, I can't help but see that Phil Collins is also handling some of the percussion, not on this track, but on future tracks. The drums on here, I think it's actually just going to be Rupert handling the programming stuff. So, okay, so Phil Palmer, looking at his Wikipedia page, because I've never heard of him, but he's playing the guitar here. He's best known for his work with Eric Clapton, Dire Straits. He's supported a lot of artists here. Let's see. His appearances. He's worked with Joan Armatrading, Pet Shop Boys, Ray Charles, Eric Clapton, as we mentioned, Dire Straits, Celine Dion, David Essex. He's worked with a lot of people here. Steve Harley. Like a lot of names and a lot of different artists there. And I love just the little bit of ambience that he adds into the music. He kind of adds this quiet, morose cinematic experience into that. It's very like black and white monochromatic, the way that the music is set up. And I really enjoy that. Then when it gets into the chorus, you do have a little bit more of a pop-up. You have, I don't know who's singing with him. Maybe it's himself, harmonizing with himself. But the chorus, it sounded like there was someone else, but I guess not. Have someone else kind of singing a higher note there. And it does add a little bit of a more bright melody to what I would say is kind of a foggy, kind of low down kind of track. But this was a really nice introduction. This is a really nice opening to the album, setting a scene. A bat on the edge with a bad mind. Privately found the best release I know. Some way to let go. I hang on to my vertigo. I hang on. Okay, like a bat hanging upside down, so vertical or vertical. He's like a bat hanging on to his vertigo. And I can't help but see this, I'm imagining, single release picture as he's hanging on to the fire escapes there. A slow death ahead is a sad slide, perfectly formed to feel a fall like lead, a balcony for my bed. Spinning alone, I look down. I'm unshy on the skyline. Hiding at home, don't you feel low? Wasting your breath and your friend's time. I want to be alone. Me on a high wire, I want to be alone. A cat on the ledge with a bad sign. Secretly dead, it's good to look down. Is that Schrodinger's cat? A one-way view. And so I hang on. Like he's hanging on. He's on the edge, but he's hanging on. But a lot of things are seemingly working against him. But he's hanging on. And if nothing else, he hangs on to his vertigo. Spinning alone, I look down, I'm unshy of the skylines. Hiding at home, don't you feel low? Like at least he's taking a risk. And even says, I'm over your head. At least he's living life. It may be risky. He may fall. There may be a plummet in his future. But at least he's living his life and doing his thing. And he even says, like, you guys hiding at home, don't you feel low? In a sense, they're beneath him, right? He's above them. That's why he says, I'm over your head. That's how I read that. That's how I interpret those lyrics. Let's move on to the next track here, which is going to be, is it Misplaced Love? I'm going between, I'm bouncing back and forth between all these screens. Let's see, because I got to pull up the lyrics. Misplaced Love. And here's the music. I'll pull you guys back here in a second. That's the fun one. This is bouncy. Pop.
But then, what accident of stars brought you so late into my arms? Where even now, another sleep. Here in my heart, I know that you and I are one. I wonder if some joker laughs as he looks on.
This is the catchy one.
If some joker laughs as he looks on. I wonder if some joker laughs as he looks on at all our misplaced love. All our misplaced love. You noticed that I turned my head away and cried for all the goodness I could find deceiving you. Oh well, how could we know the hand of fate chose to be our guide? Was tired of lovers' bliss and holding hands. Deep in my heart, I know that you and I are one.
I love this hold.
I wonder if some joker sighs for what we
Little attitude in there.
I wonder if some joker sighs for what we've done.
Might be a little long.
I wonder if some joker sighs for what we've done with all our misplaced love.
Love that held note.
I noticed that you touched my soul in time and lied to stop my leaving for a place where no one hears. But then what randomness and chance could move the mountain from our dreams or break the spell upon us now? And though deep in my heart I know you and I are one.
I wonder if the joker dies, what will become? I wonder if the joker dies, what will become? I wonder if the joker dies, what will become of all our misplaced love?
Love how the guitar is incorporated in here.
I wonder if the joker
Quick little solo. Quick one.
I wonder if the joker sighs. I wonder if the joker dies, what will become of all our misplaced love? All our misplaced love.
You know what's really great is even before that guitar comes in, which, man, I love that outro and how it starts off with the solo and then how that just continues into the end. That was really fantastic. But even besides that, before that came in and the way it did, the song kind of had like a rock and roll edge to it. Although it's, of course, much more strictly synthesized in the way that it is. And I thought that was really nice how that comes through. And I would say that's definitely because of Hine's performance here. His vocals are definitely much more, forward, I would say, much more rock-oriented in this case. Gone are the kind of sad tones from the previous track, and we're moving into something with a little bit more oomph and punch to it. Not too much, but just a little bit more. And then during the verse, the way that the synths are playing are kind of in very almost palm muted kind of ways. Like they're like, let me pull it up here really quick. Let me go back. Like even before that definitely. Listen, not to that main line, because obviously you hear on front, ba, 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 not that part. That's a nice, bouncy, light melody. But listen behind that. That's what I'm listening for.
If some joker loves us, it looks on at all.
And actually, that might be guitar as well doing that part. But I like how that's just kind of palmy, bum, 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 pushing it along with this kind of little bit of a stream flow. And then you have that main melody on top, Hine's doing his thing. But I like how that's, to me, kind of foreshadowing the guitar solo later. Because you hear that little bum, 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 like it's coming. You don't know when, but it's coming. And at the end, that's when it's released. That is really nice. The chorus is very catchy. This definitely sounds like a single from the album. I'm looking on Wikipedia. I do not see necessarily. Oh, no. Well, no. This, I guess, wasn't a single. However, it does say that this song features a brief chorus by British singer Marianne Faithfull. I've never heard of her, but you do hear her on the break. And I love how the music turns just a little darker, gets more subtle, turns down the lights, and then her voice comes through. And her voice is so completely different from Hine and how he's singing. And it's this really welcome tonal change and shift that happens there. Looking at Miss Marianne Faithfull, I have her Wikipedia pulled up here. She was an English singer and actress in the 60s, achieving popularity with her single As Tears Go By. Like I said, I've never heard of her, but she has a long and storied career here. Here are her studio albums. Let's see. I'm looking for a list of people that she's worked with and such, but at least apparent. There's nothing appearances. Here we go. Rolling Stones, Metallica, Rolling Stones, and many singles as well. So, like I said, I've never heard of her. I'm not familiar with her, but I really enjoyed her contribution vocally in this track because it really does add a nice tonal shift, especially as the music comes down very appropriately in that particular moment there. You notice that I closed my eyes again and smiled in all the silence I have grown in me for you. But then, what accident of stars brought you so late into my arms, where even now another sleeps? Here in my heart, I know that you and I are one. Like we're together. Almost some sort of accident. I wonder if some joker laughs as he looks on. I wonder if some joker laughs. I love the chorus. All our misplaced love. You notice that I turned my head away and cried for all the goodness I could found, deceiving you. Ah, well, how could we? No, the hand fate chose to be our guide was tired. That's a good one. Of lover's bliss and holding hands, deep in my heart, I know that you and I are one. And she says, I noticed that you touched my soul in time and lied to stop my leaving for a place where no one hears. But then what randomness and chance could move the mountain from our dreams or break the spell upon us now? And though deep in my heart, I know you and I are one. I wonder if the Joker... Okay, now it's changing, right? First it was, I would wonder if some Joker laughs. Then I wonder if some Joker sighs. Then I wonder if the Joker dies. If he dies, what will become of our love? So, in a sense, their misplaced love, it's like the Joker is laughing at them. Are they, in a sense, the Jokers? I mean, they're the masters of their own fate. They're the, as he says, the hand of fate. What if the guide was tired? What if they're guiding each other in their love? And even though they know that they're one another's and they're each other's one, their love is still being misplaced. Their love is still not where it needs to be. It's in the wrong position. Let us move on into the next track here, which is going to be Samsara. I always forget what Samsara is. I always have to look it up. But let me pull it up here really quick just so you can have that idea. I know it's Hindu or Buddhism or okay, Samsara, the cycle of death and rebirth in which life in the material world is bound. Okay, I always forget exactly what the meaning of it is. I'm pulling it up as we speak. Let me click this. These are the run times. I need to click the track list. There we go. I was like, that's not what we were looking for.
Samsara was the state I lived in. The city walls the stolen break in.
Mysterious.
The brochure told folks they were safe here. A destination with no check-in. The women there were tantalizing.
Hear that rhythm?
Shame shaped their minds through advertising. The clothes we chose for lies to live in. We had no guide but television.
Let's see how it comes in.
Samsara was the state that I lived in.
It's very big and expensive.
Samsara was the state that I lived in.
It's very mystical, which makes sense.
A destination with no check-in. Samsara was the state I lived in. Just like L.A. with no religion. Some teacher told me I was gifted.
I like the little marimba. They're so
Her
bad.
number wasn't even listed. I wasn't sure if she existed. Samsara
I love how big that is.
was the state that I lived in. Ooh. Samsara was the state that I lived in. A destination with no check-in. Samsara.
This is really fantastic how he builds this. Now it's come from the background up front. That marimba. Ooh. Yeah. Oh, that rhythm sneaking back in.
Now far from home, this body's shaking with fantasies I've fed to blind me. The open door is now behind me. One day I woke and it was missing.
Those notes are sneaking back, those chords coming through, moving their way back to those original notes, it seems. Okay, I'm imagining that's the end of Samsara. I'm assuming. I need to close this. This is just the track listing. Surface tension 1423. Yeah. Okay. I want to make sure I'm following it correctly. Okay. Samsara is my favorite track so far. I know we're only in 3, but I love how this is kind of like the previous tracks, like they have that Numen-esque sound. They sound really great. But this one kind of seems to take the concept a little further. Get rid of the drums. No need for that. And just work on pure atmosphere, the essence, distill it down and get to the soul of the matter. And I love his singing here. I think the big chords, the way he builds up the music, it has this wonderful mystical side to it. He kind of, at least for me on a first listen, he kind of tricks me. You hear that rhythm, right? And as he's singing in the beginning, I'm expecting, as that rhythm's coming through, and he keeps on repeating the chorus, that big expansive samsara, and like all those vocal pushes and pads come through with him. I'm expecting at some point for the drums to come in on that rhythm, because the rhythm is seeming to set up something. And it is setting up something, just not what I expected it to. So I love how that, it does give it a backbone to work off of, but it doesn't come in with a hard, predictable drum like the previous track had that very hard drum to it, right? But that had a different energy. This one has a very soulful, spiritually minded energy that he goes for, and I think he accomplishes wonderfully. Not only is that wonderful repeated title, Samsara, that is just wonderful how, fulfilling that is. It is satisfying in how it embodies everything. It fills the air. It fills the studio. Really wonderfully done. Then I want to say in the second verse or so, you kind of hear a little marimba just kind of in the back. And it's so subtle. I'm like, okay, cool. But this is a track that works on those subtleties, works on foreshadowing, works on building those patterns from nothing, from minimalist into something, into maximalist. And then after the next chorus passes, you get that, I'm assuming it's marimba, solo basically at that point there. And the section that follows is just absolutely brilliant. I'm pulling up the track and I'm pulling up the personnel to see if there's anyone specific playing marimba there, or if it's maybe just Hine himself. I think it might just be Hine. Now, I don't know if he's playing marimba or such, but he's handling, I would imagine, whatever is being played there. And I love that. I love that sound. I love how he hints at it in that verse, just in the, but then eventually building into that solo basically. And then from there, like I said, the music changes. That rhythm, that's gone. That's faded away. And then you got piano that comes in and takes over from that marimba. And it's just such a cool section. And and I was hoping that was going to go on for a while. And fortunately it did. Personally, I could have done with more of it, but that's okay. It's like we went into the abstract, we went into the ethereal, and we kind of played in that floating space, and then eventually Rupert brings us back, because then you start to hear you hear that rhythm sneaking back in from the back. It comes from the back room, closes the door, and it walks up center stage, and we're right back to kind of where we began there, in a sense. I think that this is just a really brilliant track, and this is my favorite one so far. I know we're not very far, but at this point, it absolutely is. And then you hear all the city noise at the end. So I think it really does touch on this cycle of birth and death and rebirth and such. Samsara was a state I lived in. The city walls forestalled a break-in. The brochure told folks they were safe here. A destination with no check-in. You don't need to check in. The women were tantalizing. Shame shaped their minds through advertising. The clothes we chose for lies to live in. We had no guide but television. So I like how he's describing this spiritual state, but he's making it very much more literal. Let's see. Samsara was a state I lived in, just like LA, with no religion. Some teacher told me I was gifted. Her number wasn't even listed. I wasn't sure if she existed. Now, far from home, this body shaking, with fantasies I fed to blind me. He fed himself these fantasies, and he can't even see where he's going, perhaps. The open door is now behind me. One day I woke, and it was missing. He doesn't know how he got here. This is a very esoteric-minded writing here. He doesn't even know how he got there. And as he's describing this samsara, I like how, once again, he's kind of making it a little bit more concrete, keeping the idea in here, but he's keeping those abstractions, but bringing it a little bit down into some sort of reality, at least a reality for himself here. Let us move on to the next track, which is going to be Surface Tension. I'm pulling up. YouTube is annoying to use for this kind of thing because I'm assuming the tracks end. I hear those fade outs. I'm like, okay, I'm assuming the tracks ended. Then I'm coming back here and I'm using this to go back. I'm doing this. I'm getting the lyrics back for the next song. Here we go.
While you wait, there's always something looming low. Will it show your heart is thumping? Halloween without a pumpkin. Halloween breeding in the stream. The programs come the same. Why not the dream?
That feels cool.
Gonna keep on running.
Piano chords there is kind of
Gonna keep on running.
the tension, huh?
While you watch, there's always something taking sides. Find a clue in any language. Halloween without a pumpkin. Halloween.
That's a great line.
Sleeping still they look no meaner than their eyes. Trick or treat or lies. Gonna keep on running. Gonna keep on running. It's only surface tension, but break it and we sink. Reach out to the master's mask. The wound is deeper than you think. It's only surface tension, but break it and we sink. Reach out to the master's mask. The wound is deeper than you think.
There's a lot of really interesting, kind of intricate
While you sleep,
moving parts to this.
there could be something closing in. You don't know. Could this be London? Halloween without a pumpkin. Halloween breathing on the phone. The city creaks alone. They know you're home. Gonna keep on running. Gonna keep on running.
Someone's writing something.
It's only surface tension, but break it and we sink. Reach out to the master's mask. The wound is deeper than you think. It's only surface tension, but break it.
It's like an
and
art
we sink.
string synthesizer or something here.
Reach out to the master's mask. The wound is deeper than you think. It's only surface tension, but break it and we sink. Reach out to the master's mask. The wound is deeper than you think. It's only surface tension, but break it and we sink.
I feel like this track has a lot of moving parts to it. This one feels like clockwork, and I mean like in the sense of it really does, like a clock, and you can see all the little parts, the the this and that. I don't know. I'm not a watchmaker, but you see all the gears and everything turning, and I feel like this is a track like that. It is complex. It is intricate. The verse itself, I mean, you have this very mysterious way that he sings and like hits these very specific notes, and I like the way that the keys hit those notes with him, and it does so at like not just a perfect, even kind of rhythm. He kind of hits them. Like the verse, it's easier. It's so much easier with Spotify. It's gonna kill me if I'm trying to do this, but the way that he hops on in the verse with those piano chords or keys, like it's very oddly metered and kind of seemingly random where he comes in, but it kind of adds this kind of off-putting eccentricity to the music. And then you have the rhythm, like from the second verse forward, which kind of has that quick pace to it. It's quiet because it's just the sides of the snare, just the stick, right? But it has a fast pace to it. And so there's this tension that's constantly looming and building in the verse itself. And then once it gets to the chorus, it kind of throws that away to an extent and becomes something a little bit more conventional. The singing, the chorus, it's catchy. It's interesting how he maneuvers through these different scenes. It really feels like moving, like changing scenes, like when you're watching a play and the curtain comes down and you can still see the stagehands in their black, moving things around, changing the set. It kind of feels like that, but he does it just like an acrobat, just changing it immediately, and it's really cool. And he fills in these gaps and these spaces in the music with so many different details. I want to say it was the second verse, maybe even the third, I'm not quite sure, where you hear almost, I'm imagining like this bass in the back, but it sounds more, rather than being played like blah, 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 it sounds maybe like the note is being held and sustained and bent in a very specific way, maybe with a bow, but not quite. I don't know. There's a sound in there that sounds like a bass being manipulated, but I'm unsure of what exactly is happening there. And it just has a lot. It builds tension. I mean, the song is surface tension. It builds it and then it breaks it. So I think it actually is quite, it's actually quite true to form. Thinking about it, true to title, I should say. While you wait, there's always something looming low. Will it show? Your heart is thumping. Halloween without a pumpkin. It's Halloween without a pumpkin. It's not in season. Breeding in the stream, the programs come the same. Why not the dream? Can I keep on running? While you watch, there's always something taking sides. Find a clue in any language. Halloween without a pumpkin. Gosh, I love that line. Sleeping still, they look no meaner than their eyes. Trick or treat or lies. Can I keep running? Like this tension is about to break. Can he keep running? It's only surface tension, but break it and we sink. Reach out for the master's mask. The wound is deeper than you think. It's only surface tension. The wound is deeper than you think. So like this surface tension, like whatever this predicament that he's in, it's very tense, kind of like the verse. And if they and whoever is involved in this situation, this party, if they all acknowledge what's happening, this tension is going to break. That surface tension, right, of like water or whatever, is going to break. And they're going to sink deeper and deeper and deeper. It's not a good break. So we just almost need to keep running on this trick or treat or lies, basically, as he says. While you sleep, there could be something closing in. Don't know, or you don't know, could this be London? Halloween without a pumpkin. Breathing on the phone, the city creaks alone. They know you're home. Can I keep running? And then even like kind of getting back to like some of the intricacies and the different sounds that are happening. You even hear at one point what sounds to me like pencil on paper, kind of scribbling. So like putting pressure on paper, kind of like breaking surface tension. Like there's something about it. And I got to tell you, I won't lie, the lyrics, I feel like they're kind of Eno-esque in the way that they're suggestive more than direct, because I won't lie to you, I'm having a little trouble interpreting the lyrics. I feel like I have the dart and I throw it, and instead of hitting the board, I hit the people watching me throw the dart. Let's move on to the next track here, which is going to be I Think a Man Will Hang Soon. I gotta get to the lyrics so I can get that pulled up. Then we gotta pull up the song itself. I Think a Man Will Hang Soon. Here we go. Sounds like the floorboard dropping beneath him. That's harsh.
I think a man will hang soon. He's hiding in a back room. His morals are confused now, like walls they're bound to crack soon. The room turns to a corner. His choices getting smaller. There'll be no need for violence. For years he's thought it out in silence.
Wow. This kind of reminds me of Peter Gabriel Melt a little bit.
I think a man will hang soon, contorted by the full moon. Someone should hide the news now.
And that scratchy synth follows his
Place
voice.
may make us blind soon. And no one shares his sadness, so it change it into madness. He'll chant throughout his trial. He will be sentenced on arrival. A woman's gone his witness. A woman's gone his witness. And they believe her innocence. Sweet revenge she has won. The ace is safe inside her sleeve. The ace is safe.
Oh, we're getting experimental. This was the ace inside her sleeve, huh? Okay.
His face is not his fortune. I think a man will hang some. The sense disguised by perfume.
And just fade out like that, huh? Okay, well, this was definitely a very unique track. That switch up in the middle was absolutely unexpected. It was not going in that direction from what I could tell. The beginning, I mean, okay, talking about this execution, this man is destined, is what's the word when you're set to be executed? You're condemned. The condemned. The music has that feel. It is morose. It is kind of gothic-y. It is like overlooming this darkness. The previous track mentioned Halloween, but this felt like it in the beginning. And I love how big and grand it sounds. Could I tell you? I mentioned it, but in this track specifically, and now that I'm kind of thinking about it, some of the previous elements in the other tracks kind of remind me of Peter Gabriel's third album, which for you purists, Peter Gabriel, but also titled Melt. It kind of reminds me of some of the very harsh sounds and tense moments that are constantly brought up in that album. And so here we kind of get something similar. And the break, what came after, reminded me of some of the experimentation of Peter Gabriel's first album, for you purists, Peter Gabriel. So it's really interesting, like, the way that he comes up with these sounds, because like I said, the beginning is definitely set for execution. It is just like, it's just gloomy. It's just dark clouds all through the music, and it's so hard to pull it back where I want it. But like, let me pull it back to the beginning of the track. From the very beginning, play. There you go. From the very beginning. This to me reminds me of walking to those gallows. The two officers or guards are escorting the condemned to those gallows, and the way that those heavy piano chords come down are almost like those heaviest steps, because these are the last steps he'll ever take in his life. So each one is heavier than everyone that came before in his life. And you can almost hear the shackles on him as he's being led up to the gallows. And I just think that the way that the music is constructed from there is brilliant. Like I said, those chords that come in with the keys are very dark. The synths are dark. But then, I'm going to have a hard time finding it, but then the music changes. Yeah, like right here. The music changes into, I don't even know, something very theatric, seemingly playful, almost like we get a narrator, like a kind of comic relief narrator, or narrators that come in and start singing, as we just heard, and they begin to narrate what changes, seemingly. We'll have to look at the lyrics to see exactly what happened. But apparently something happened at the execution, and I don't know, someone had an ace up their sleeve, and maybe the execution didn't happen, they were rescued, something happened. And the music changes completely into something kind of progressive and experimental. The guitar solo that comes out of that is really cool, though. That's really cool. The drumming as well is heavy in here. Are we at the track with Phil Collins is in here yet? Let me pull up the track listing. No, but we do have on this track Trevor Murray on the drums here. Trevor Murray, looking at some of the work that he's performed, he's played with several notable groups such as Farron's Flamingos, Rory Storm and the Hurricanes, Peddlers, Quantum Leap. He's also played with Tina Turner, David Essex, Howard Jones, and Björk. So, all right. So I'm a little familiar with some of the artists that he's worked with, but not too many. But I love the heaviness, how he grabs that idea with the music and truly is appropriate in the way that he explores that with the music, keeping that heaviness in there, but then also adding kind of this theatrical playfulness in there as well. When it gets into all this. It just shifts back and forth between that fun and then like basically just thrashing it out in its own experimental synthy way. Let's find out what's going on here, though. I think a man will hang soon. He's hiding in a back room. His morals are confused now, like walls they're bound to crack soon. The room turns to a corner. I love that. The paranoia is setting in as Rupert perfectly encompasses in the music. His choice is getting smaller. There'll be no need for violence. For years, he's thought it out in silence. He already knows what he's going to do. I think a man will hang soon, contorted by the full moon. Someone should hide the noose now. This place may make us blind soon. And no one shares his sadness, so it changes into madness. He'll chant throughout his trial. He will be sentenced on arrival. Like he's already going to be condemned to die no matter what his crimes actually are, no matter if he's innocent or not. So he's going to turn his sadness, his fated end, he's going to turn into madness. He's going to, in a sense, go insane or plead insanity, perhaps. A woman scorned is witness. William Congreve. I remember. And they believe her innocence. In sweet revenge, she has one need. The ace is safe inside her sleeve. Okay. The one scorned is witness. So she's the witness. They believe her innocence. They believe her that she's innocent. But she's actually taking revenge on this guy. I think a man will hang soon. His face is not his fortune. I think a man will hang soon. The sense disguised by perfume. She will accept no rival. Her hand is on the Bible. I think a man will hang soon. He only broke the curfew. Okay. I don't know exactly what happened, but the guy is innocent. She's not. But she's pleading innocence, pleading the witness, and she's in some capacity taking revenge on him. And she's basically allowing an innocent man to hang when perhaps she's either in the wrong, like she's done something, or she just doesn't care for whatever reason. She's just like, nope, let him hang, even though she's to blame. Okay, there's something there. And once again, I'm not quite sure what the exact story is that's happening there, but there's something happening there. Getting kind of deep there. All right, let's hit the next track, which is actually going to be the title track, Immunity. Let me go ahead and get the lyrics pulled up. I think that this is the track that Phil Collins is on. Yeah, Phil Collins is playing percussion on this track. Oh, I'm excited. Let me pull it up. Here we go.
It's my discovery, immunity. My way of hiding when the truth hurts me. My way of cruising through what won't let me be. It's my discovery, no vexation, no frustration, least of all, no pain of penetration, no contamination.
Those are cool. That kind of vocal sound on the keys. They made great use of the marimba or whatever that is.
Immunity, it's my discovery. Immunity, my way of hiding when the truth hurts me. My way of cruising through what won't let me be. It's my discovery, no sensation. Processed all my thought communication. I've tamed imagination. Out of reach, but never out of touch.
Out of touch.
My frozen smile could never be enough. Once I wanted you, but love cost me too much.
Who's slinging guitar there? What a cool combination that is. That was a really cool way that guitar came in. Very unexpected.
My discovery, immunity. My way of hiding when the truth hurts me. My way of cruising through what won't let me be. It's my discovery.
This one's so playful.
Fake events, I'm discontent. The whole world bent. I'm leaving just a monument. Immunity, it's my discovery. Immunity, immunity, it's my discovery. Immunity, immunity, it's my
so catchy. Assuming that it's Rupert who's playing, like, whether it's marimba, vibraphone, any of those kind of instruments, I love how he uses it throughout the music, like in previous tracks, but especially here. That, alongside of Phil Collins' percussion, is just so fun. The way that he's singing, immunity, it's my discovery. Like, it's so fun and seemingly frolicky. And he still plays this very minimalistic synth kind of side, right? But the way that he like performs and delivers it is just full on having a great time. I'll have to look at the lyrics because, like I said, I can't follow them while we're listening. But can I tell you my guess? I don't know. I'm just guessing. Is, you know, with the fun and careless way that he's saying immunity, it's my discovery. I think he feels like, this is just me taking a stab at what he's talking about, is maybe he's feeling immune to criticisms, feeling immune to whatever, you know, other people think about his music, his artistry, his creativity. He doesn't care. He's immune to that. He's out there doing what he loves, and he's having a wonderful time. That's how I interpret it. I could be 100% completely off when we actually dive into the lyrics here, but that's at least my first initial stab in the dark. Can I tell you, I'm curious about how Phil Collins got involved in this particular project, and of course in this song. There's nothing on the Wikipedia. It's very brief in any of the information, so I might have to actually look elsewhere for that. A lot of times it's like, you know, a musician is either on the same label. Sometimes we've read stories where one of the musicians just happens to be recording a different album in a different studio, and that's how, you know, they just, you know, walked over and basically said, hey, would you mind working on on this one song with me, just tapping something out. I'm looking to see if there's anything I can find about them, how they kind of coordinated, but I did a quick Google search just, you know, really quickly. I don't see anything initially. I'm on Rupert Hine's website directly to see if there's anything, just so you guys can see as well. But I don't see anything necessarily about that. I'm just looking for something. No, I know he's on this track, but no, nothing that I see there. So who knows how that came about, but it's really wonderful how that came about, because Colin's style, especially the way that he plays on the toms, those specific motions, it works very well in what Rupert's putting down here. And once again, this is a track that it's more complex than, well, not even that it lets on. I think anyone listening to it can tell it's complex in its own way. But the way that he has so much fun performing this track, I think, is really nice. And let me see if I can pull it back to near the beginning of it. I'm going to play it. That guitar solo has nothing to do with this part.
Once I wanted you.
And I also like how he uses that almost deep synthesized vocal-esque kind of sound to act as the bass line. Really intelligent. But the guitar solo, it like has nothing to do with the music that came before that on one way. But on the other hand, man, that guitar just blitzes out of nowhere and hits all the right notes, and it sounds great. Is it still going to be Phil Palmer on guitar here? I'm looking, and I do believe so. Yeah, I love the way he comes out of there. I also like how it's not like a distorted electric guitar solo. Like, no, play. I don't know exactly what. It doesn't sound acoustic, but maybe just clean with no sort of, you know, distortion or anything like that. But it's just a clean, slick backhand of a solo that works really well in the music. That was a really nice moment there, and it's just a flick of the wrist of that thing. Immunity is my discovery. This is the catchiest one on the album. My way of hiding when the truth hurts me. My way of cruising through what won't let me be. It's my discovery. He's discovered his immunity, his strength, his superpower. As if he believes he's immune, he is immune. No vexation, no frustration, least of all, no pain nor penetration, no contamination. He's good. No sensation, no elation. Processed all my thought communication. I've tamed imagination. He has controlled his creativity. Out of reach, but never out of touch. My frozen smile could never be enough. Once I wanted you, but love cost me too much. And so he makes himself immune. fake events and discontent. The whole world's bent on leaving just a monument. And of course, the music hits that big moment there as well. Then he goes from there. That's a really fantastic track. And can I tell you, maybe my second favorite after Samsara. Maybe. Well, I gotta hear how the rest of it kind of stacks up. But let's hit the next track here, which is going to be Immunity, Another Stranger. I'm just pulling up the track list again, so I like to get everything set for us. So, Another Stranger, here we go.
Remember darkness, it's full of strangers, meeting strangers, talking cold.
It's an interesting synth sound.
Remember voices, sometimes these voices bring up danger.
It sings right on top of those chords.
Am I just another stranger? Find another stranger who's lost. Another stranger. Oh, trying not to love you. Trying not to love you.
I love how the guitar comes through. It takes away some of the coldness of the sounds.
Remember nonsense, you were its witness while computers searched for fame.
Incoming signal.
Remember judgment, sometimes the finger points to blame us. Would you believe
That's a snappy drum fill.
Find another stranger a name. Another stranger. Oh, trying not to love you. Trying not to love you. Trying not to love you. Going over you with a fine-tooth comb, concentrating on your faults. There's not a single flaw, so ease my conscience. Just remembering how we met. Tease myself with memories. Oh, how could I forget? Tease myself with memories. Oh, how could I forget? Remember silence, it stores a message of the future. You will know.
Is that it?
Remember pictures sometimes and
I can't tell.
comes to trick us. Could be just another stranger here.
These moments hit so hard.
Another
Switches to
stranger
this.
inside. Another stranger. Remember journeys, they're full of promise. Taking chances, breaking code. Remember places, sometimes these faces spy like neighbors. And am I just
But the Phil Collins lead in here is great.
another stranger who needs another stranger who's lost, another stranger inside, another stranger, nothing stranger than trying not to love you, trying not to love you, facing all.
Is this the same song or a different song? Let me check real quick. I don't want to stop it if it's... Okay, that's a different song. Okay. I can't tell. With Spotify, I can see the end and the beginning. With YouTube, I cannot. Okay. But I did like that flow into the next track. So this one is like, to me, a balance and a balancing act between the machine, the mechanical, the cold, the synth, and the human, the warm, the body, the soul. And putting these two together. Because the verse, I feel, is very mechanical. The way that Rupert's singing on top of those chords, the sound of those chords, which has a very machine kind of whirring sound to it. Like, I can't replicate it because I'm not a robot, but they have a very machine kind of whirring and whizzing kind of sound to it. And like, it almost sounds like, but like the way that he does it is really cool, right? So like he sings on top of those notes perfectly, just right on top. But then you have a shift in which Phil Collins does those Phil Collins fills, that drum fill that leads into something more soulful. Then you have those big, warm, and organic chords that come in on the keys, and his singing becomes a lot more warmth and touching. And once again, the guitar actually makes a great impact on that because his guitar feels so human. The way when that comes in, it feels so uplifting, especially in the end. It kind of feels like a sunrise. You know, you have that big bloom of beauty that just blossoms out of that cold mechanical state. And it just feels really good how that progression happens. Because eventually at the end, it does feel like they both kind of work together in capturing that. Let me see. I'm just pulling it back really quick. I got to go back quick. Here. This. That feels like the heart taking over, the heart winning over the mechanical, over the machine. You know, I think that that's really cool how those were balanced in here. And it was kind of an interesting shift each time it happened from that ba 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 ba, like that part to the more expansive breath, spread your wingspan kind of moments. That really felt like a nice melodic light. I liked those moments a lot more, if I'm being honest. I didn't really care for the verse. Ba, 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 ba. I didn't care for that. But at the same time, because of the coldness of that and the way that they moved, it made those next sections which Collins led us into, it made those so much more powerful when it did hit those moments there. So on one hand, while I didn't like the verse that much, I did like the effect that it had on making me appreciate what came after a lot more. All right, let me pull up the lyrics. I got too many windows open now. Remember darkness, it's full of strangers, meeting strangers, talking code. It's like a staccato kind of way that he sings this as well. Remember voices, sometimes these voices print out danger. This is like a warning, right? A cautionary. And I'm just another stranger, find another stranger who's lost. Another stranger, trying not to love you, trying not to love you. He says, I'm just another stranger. Go find a different stranger who's lost. Not me. Go find someone else. Remember nonsense. You were its witness while computers searched for fame. Remember judgment. Sometimes the finger points to blame us. Would you believe another stranger? Find another stranger. Name another stranger. Trying not to love you. Is this be wary of strangers in the dark who are trying to say that they love you? Trying to win you over? Going over you with a fine-tooth comb. Concentrating on your faults. There's not a single flaw. Just ease my conscience, remembering how we met. Like, all these people are going over you with a fine-tooth comb. They're only thinking about your faults, looking for the bad. But if you ask me, there are no flaws on you. Tease myself with memories. How could I forget? Tease myself with memories. Like, those memories tease me with what could have been, perhaps. Remember silence, it stores a message. Of the future, you will know. Remember pictures. Sometimes an image comes to trick us. Like sometimes it's a lie. It could be just another stranger. Here's another stranger inside another stranger. Like what are those Russian egg dolls? I mean, this isn't what I'm talking about, but you also have bring it up here. Like the Darumas. I have one of them knocked over. That's I could open these up and put And I could open it up and put another one in, and you put the other one in, and you have them all in there. It's kind of like there's a stranger inside of another stranger, so you don't know who to trust, because are they really showing you their innermost self? Are they really showing you that, or are they just like a little Daruma doll? It's all messed up now the way I put this back on my shelf. All right, let's get back to that. The lyrics. Remember journeys, they're full of promise, taking chances, breaking code. Remember places, sometimes the faces, or these faces, spy like neighbors. Then he gets personal. He says, and am I just another stranger? Meet another stranger who needs another stranger, who's lost another stranger inside another stranger, nothing stranger than, oh, trying not to love you, facing all. At the end, nothing is stranger than just trying to love you, or trying not to love you, he says. Let's hit the next track, which is Psycho Surrender. Here we go. Okay.
She struck the telephone, she touched the radio, she felt the magazine, she couldn't even scream. The cinema was far, too far. Women sick of slimming, eat the pills of living. Boredom, boredom, boredom. Psycho surrender. Boredom, boredom, boredom. Boredom, boredom, boredom. Psycho surrender. Boredom, boredom, boredom. And nothing seems important in the corner with the wardens. Nothing happens and nothing shines, and no one minds.
This is a very unique one, I gotta tell you.
He locked another room, he threw away the key. No one would ever know. A siren in the crowd drowned every sound for miles and miles. Big man from the bottom, in a trap that's rotten. Boredom, boredom, boredom. Psycho surrender. Boredom, boredom, boredom.
I like how the rhythm is all this sounds happening.
Boredom,
Sound effects.
boredom, boredom, boredom. And nothing seems important in the corner with the wardens. Nothing happens and nothing shines, and no one minds. You've got a room, nowhere else to go, a troublemaker then. But looking at her now, no one would ever know.
I like this part a lot so far.
Understanding once, fast and easy turned out just the same. Just slow and crazy, boredom, boredom, boredom. Psycho surrender. Boredom, boredom, boredom.
It's just shaking a drink and pouring it, huh?
Boredom, boredom, boredom. Psycho surrender. Boredom, boredom, boredom. And nothing seems important in the corner with the wardens. Nothing happens and nothing shines, and no one minds.
There's that vocal sampled on the keys kind of thing again.
Boredom, boredom, boredom. Psycho surrender. Boredom, boredom, boredom. Boredom, boredom, boredom. Psycho surrender. Boredom, boredom, boredom.
What in the queen is this? That's a shift.
No winters. No windows. No winners. No
I mean, this outro does connect really nicely. Do you think we're on the next track now? Let me check. 36. 36. Okay, so now we're on the next track. Okay. That outro was really cool. I will give it that. This is a track that I admire more so than anything else. I didn't enjoy this track. I will not lie. I did not enjoy Psycho Surrender. But I also do admire the taking a chance and going into something very theatrical here. That sounds like something that could be perfectly performed on stage. This sounds like a piece in a musical. This sounds like a part of a musical. I can see this acted out. The way the crowd interacts with the actors here. The way he's bottom, bottom, bottom. Like I didn't like that. But once again, at the same time, I admire the risk taking and his creativity in doing something like that on the album at this point in the album as well. Now, while I did not enjoy it, the ending really nicely connected and really kind of brought something I did enjoy at that part. Let me pull it back here. This. And the harsh change when it happens and when it gets into that, it's an immediate change, and yet it fits, especially because of those, I'm assuming it's like the ARP strings that are happening, those wah, 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 which were very much carried through and the main melody throughout the first half of the track. So it's really cool how that's present throughout the first half and the second half. And even though as quickly and on its head as the second half shifts, it still makes a lot of sense as it did that. Let me see if I can find that transition. Little guitar in the interim. Right? Here you go. And from the first notes right there, I could not help but think of Queen. It just had that kind of sound to it. And maybe it had that kind of sound to it because of the theatrical nature of the music there. She struck the telephone. She touched the radio. She felt the magazine. She couldn't even scream. The cinema was far too far. Women sick of slimming eat the pills for living. Bottom, bottom, bottom. Psycho surrender. And nothing seems important in the corner with the wardens. Nothing happens and nothing shines and no one minds. He locked another room. He threw away the key. No one would ever know. A siren in the crowd drowned every sound for miles and miles. Big men from the bottom in a trap that's rotten. And nothing seems important. Like, all these things are happening, but at the same time, it doesn't seem important because they happen all the time. So in a sense, it's like boredom. You've got a room, nowhere else to go, a troublemaker then. But looking at her now, no one would ever know. An understanding once fast and easy turned out just the same, too slow and crazy. No winters, no windows, no winners, no view. No you to remind me of things I should do. And so he just sits alone, sits in his room, and allows boredom to take over. And he surrenders to the psychosis of that. I think it's like taking, that personal, starting in a room kind of view, but expanding it into, more. The city, mankind, the world. I don't know. Let's move on to the next track here, which is going to be Make a Wish, which we heard that transition coming in.
Remember the cornfields, the radio's dead. How I worried our planes would collide, and we'd never reach that secret tropical beach. Oh, make a wish. Hand me down that cover book. Hand me down that cover book. I think I'm falling down. Hand me down that cover book. Hand me down that cover book. I think I'm falling down. Hand me down that cover book. Hand me down that cover book. I think I'm falling down.
I like a sound of decay in music. Hey. It's like the song remade itself.
There's no light on the road. Oh, I waited for hours.
There you go.
I wanted to give her flowers. I'll make a wish. I stayed up all night for this. I've said enough. There's no catch. It's take 22. Met my match. It's all happened before.
Flash.
That's cool. It's like all communications. Why does it sound like German to me?
And me.
Or it could be English reversed.
When did you learn New York? And beside a natural green, a sad adventure this has been. But now my mind is new and clean. We'll meet again in another dream. Make a wish for all you've seen. Make a wish, don't hand me down some clever book. There may be time for just one look. We'll have to say it all. We'll have to say it. There's no light on the road. Oh, I waited for hours.
This is a statement piece. You gotta, that's for sure.
I wanted to give her flowers. I'll make a wish. I stayed up all night for this. I'll make a wish and live on your thinking. Make a wish. I'll make a wish. Her body is shrinking. Make a wish. I'll make a wish. The last eye is blink, 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 blinking. Make a wish.
I like that synth that came right.
I'll make a wish for water worth drinking. Make a wish.
I love this synth that's cutting through. Almost kind of guitar violin like.
I'll make a wish. My vision is free. Make a wish. Make a wish. Make a wish.
Is that the end? Is that how, hold on. Is that how it ends? 42. Or That is how it ends. Okay. That Make-A-Wish is, to me, him ending with a statement. He ended with a statement to be made because it kind of combined every aspect and every element that we've heard so far on this album. It's combined the more pop sensibilities with the catchiness of the chorus. It definitely contained and expanded upon those experimentation elements. You know, the way that the music changed, it basically changed 3 times. From the intro, and then it kind of decayed. I love that cool electronic decay that the music had when it just kind of like got interfered. It started stopping, starting, glitching out. And then it kind of remade itself into this almost like 80s dance number to an extent. And then almost as quick as that began, did it just completely snap the wire. And it got into that weird, abstract, you know, kind of like different signals and communications coming through, but colliding with each other. And it was all glitched out and messy before someone fixed the wires, turned the power back on. And then we got back into that kind of 80s synth pop dance. But it was just really, really well done. This was the most progressive piece and track on the album, I would say, thus far. And it definitely went through a lot of different motions. Let me pull it back here really quick to 36 to Make-A-Wish. You got the ambient intro, but skipping ahead in it, this.
Oh, Make-A-Wish.
It's beginning in like a nice setup. This really reminds me of Peter Gabriel 3. It kind of gives you a nice setup, a little bit of ambience, a theme, cinematic in scope. But then, like I said, it quickly starts decaying. Which is really cool how it's, listen to that. It's like it's skipping, there's interference. It's just really well done. And listen to the decay and how it pops back in. Watch. That's revving your motor. I thought that was a really cool way of like almost having a false start into the music, and then it just jams out and gets into it. And then, like I said, that doesn't last too much longer before you get into the weird, more experimental stuff here. And I just thought that was such a cool section. Like I said, to me, that's a statement piece. That's concluding with a bang, and then eventually it finishes out the album in this particular part, just going back to what it began. And it's really, really cool how that's done. Let's go ahead and look at the lyrics here. This could also possibly, I'm on the wrong lyrics. This could also possibly be a runner-up for a favorite track. One of the favorite tracks on the album. Remember the cornfields, the radio's dead. How I worried our planes would collide, and we'd never reach that secret tropical beach. Well, there was some sort of collision. Oh, make a wish and hand me down that clever book. Think I'm falling down. Hand me down that clever book. There's no light on the road. Oh, I waited for hours. I wanted to give her flowers. I'll make a wish. I stayed up all night for this. I've said enough. There's no catch. It's take 22. That's nice. Met my match. It's all happened before. A flash reflected in her eye. How could we say goodbye? In the heat of the day, it could have been the end of more than you and me. Didn't you love New York, the sight of natural green? A sad adventure this has been, but now my mind is new and clean. We'll meet again in another dream. Make a wish for all you've seen. There's no light on the road. Oh, I waited for hours. I wanted to give her flowers. Oh, make a wish and give up your thinking. Make a wish, her body is shrinking. Make a wish, the last eye is blinking. Make a wish for water worth drinking. Make a wish, my vision is feeble. So, was this adventure their life together? And making a wish for it to continue, but it's not going to continue. This is truly the end. This is deeply conclusive. And while it is the end of the original album, we're going to hit these 2 bonus tracks here at the end as well. So let's go ahead and move on to those. The first of which is Scratching at Success. I also really like that very sharp ending to the album. When it's done, it's done. This ambience actually works after the cutoff from the last track.
He's scratching at success, like some poor dog locked in a room. His claws are torn and sore, and still no one will open up the door.
I like the ambience built in this track so far. Really lovely piano with this kind of light electronic
Water
element.
he drank long ago, and food can't ease the roaring pain. And even as he howls, no one will bring him fame.
I told you so many times, so many times, so many times. My nails are red. You are the one who will forget.
Okay, so I'm assuming that's probably the end of the first track there. Yes. Okay. All right. So Scratching at Success is very much a quiet, like ambient piece for the most part, but I really enjoyed it. It actually kind of works really well, like near the ending of the album, because it kind of sets us down even lighter than the previous track, right? I love the piano. I love the way all the little electronics kind of scatter lightly about it, kind of scratching. Okay, scratching at success. Kind of scratching at the walls of the track, almost trying to get in. But like light scratches, like a rat trying to get in, not like a raccoon trying to get in. And I like how that kind of just sits there, kind of just beneath the surface, just kind of looming there. But that moody piano is very light and very like shadowy the way it crawls across the floorboards. And then of course Rupert, his singing is very much like, for lack of a better word, just normal, moody, quiet, emotional. This is a relatively simple track, but I like how he builds little bits of sound and ambience around that simplicity. We don't always need to go complicated, don't always need to go theatrical, like cycles around there. Like sometimes just keep it simple. Little bits of sampling and voice effects as well involved here. But we got to pull up the lyrics to see what's being said. So let's do so. He's scratching at success like some poor dog locked in a room. His claws are torn and sore, and still no one will open up the door. The water he drank long ago, the food can't ease the roaring pain, and even as he howls, no one will bring him fame. I told you so many. This is the sample, that voice recording that came in. I told you so many times my nails are wet. You are the one I will forget. So like he's almost there. He's almost made it. And he's fought tooth and nail and claw to get through, to break through and be successful and hit this success. But still no one will open up the door. So he's like a dog locked in a room and he just can't get out. He's already run out of water, out of food. He's running low and still no one will open the door. And then this vocal sample of my nails are wet, like, well, if this lady's nails are wet, then she can't pick anyone up or mess with anyone. So almost for like some simplistic and perhaps vain reason, no one will open the door for this person's success. Let's go ahead and hit the final track, which is Introduction to the Menace. It's like the THX sound effect. I like how that sound effect builds into the rhythm. Sounds like Tangerine Dream a little bit. That's it, huh? Okay, can I tell you? This track, I enjoyed it, but it definitely could have been developed. And like, this was seemingly him stretching his like progressive electronic kind of sounds. Like, that sounded like it was going into a Tangerine Dream kind of sound there, especially as the music kind of came together. Like, after the abstractness at the beginning, we finally kind of got into it. It got its form. And then he started building upon that little bubbly synth, bum 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 bum, and then building up with some really nice ambience, just kind of shining like light around it. Like, that really could have been expanded upon and progressed even further. And I mean, it's a bonus track, but I feel like what is the idea behind this one? Introduction to the Menace. I guess on one hand, it's just supposed to be an introduction, so it's not supposed to be the whole thing. It's supposed to be just an appetizer. But at the same time, I'm just like, ooh, you had something there. Where are we going with it? Now, I'm just going to look really quick. You guys can follow the journey with me. I'm curious about this. Is this his final studio album, his final solo album? No, he has many more. Waving, Not Drowning, The Wildest Wish to Fly. Like, does he... He's done a soundtrack. Like, does that idea, I just feel like that idea really so much could be expanded upon, and he could do so much more with that. Introduction to the Menace. Like, I feel like that could have just gone further. It was beautiful for what it was, but it was just brief. And I actually just wanted more of it. I liked where it was going. It took some time to get there, no doubt, but it was a nice instrumental and cinematic experience. Rupert Hine, Immunity, full album reaction. I forgot to clap at the end. I was ready to kind of go off immediately into it. But this was a really cool album because what it began as was, I was thinking, okay, Gary Newman-esque as it began with the music and everything. But it actually went a lot further and sounded a lot more individual than perhaps I was initially thinking based off of just the first track and the direction it took. So this was a really enjoyable, really interesting album to listen to. Favorite tracks, pull it up with me. You already know Samsara is my favorite track on the album. Then I would say Immunity, the title track. And after that, I would say Make a Wish. I'm putting, actually, that's perfect. That's perfect. I'm actually perfectly okay with that ranking. Samsara, Immunity, Make a Wish. Those are my favorite 3 tracks right there, right then, and write it down. We'll check back later. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let's get the plugs out the way. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for being here with me. L-Wise, really appreciate the over-the-top support with the album request, and I really appreciate the suggestion as well, because it was a good album to listen to. It was a fun one to explore and dive on into. As you saw, Buy Me a Coffee is right here if you'd like to sponsor a song request or even an album request. If you'd like, hope you pressed the like button already. I hope that you enjoyed this album listen. Hope you had a good time with me. How long did we spend? Almost 2 hours? Perfect amount of time. That's a good amount of time. And I hope that it was well worth your time, because it was worth mine. Enjoy the rest of your day. I will see you all later. Bye.